So you want to become a jeweler? You sure? Just know it's a male dominated industry and it is pretty challenging. But I'll tell you how I got involved into the industry, and then that'll give you some insight on kind of how like the jewelry game works. So first things first, I manifested it. Like, let's be real. I'm a black woman, I'm young. Getting into the jewelry industry was not easy. About 4 years ago, I started off selling gold plated jewelry. As a matter of fact, this jade butterfly is what started it all. I had a client email me, or it might have been on live, I'm not sure, but a client reached out to me and asked me, could I make this in real gold? They loved the butterfly, they loved the jade, but they wanted it to be real. And I was like, I'm sure that I could, I just don't know how yet. The light bulb turned on in my head and it was up from there. I started doing my research and I realized that gemstones in the jewelry industry are pretty slept on. Like, a lot of jewelers don't really work with them. I've had people tell me that it's just not a real market for it. But for somebody like me, I loved it. And that passion was enough to keep me going to try to figure out how I can make it if nobody else wanted to. So I started telling anybody who would listen, I want to become a jeweler. I was just kind of throwing feelers out there. You'll be surprised as to who knows who or who knows what. So people started telling me about people that they knew that was in the jewelry industry. And one thing I learned very early on is that the jewelry industry is full of gatekeepers. None of the people that looked like me was really interested in teaching me the game. They wanted to buy my business, partner my business. I even had a guy offer me 60-40, me getting the 40. It's my idea, but whatever. All I could hear was Master P in my head. Like, if they willing to offer me this, then I know I'm worth way more, right? So a couple of things that were in my favor was the fact that I already had an established business, established LLC since 2018, and I was already selling jewelry. Even though it was gold plated, I was still already selling jewelry. In casual conversation one day, someone mentions the name of the jewelry district that's in my state. I looked it up in that moment, saved it to my Google Maps, and took notes of everything that person was saying. I never seen this person again, but I'm grateful. Shout out to you wherever you at. So it stayed in my phone for a little while. And then one day I just woke up and told my mama, I'm going down to the jewelry district and I'm going to figure this jewelry thing out. I literally knew probably as much about jewelry as you know in this very moment. Nothing at all. All I had was audacity, ambition, and some loose gemstones that was pre-cut on me. I had the plan. I just needed the platform. So in order to get into the building, the jewelry district in my state, you have to register your business. So as I'm standing in line, there's this young black guy standing in front of me. He goes up to the desk. All the ladies at the desk know his name. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask him how he got into the jewelry game. But then I couldn't find him right away. So I just started walking around to the different jewelry stores in the building and telling them what I was trying to do. Like, I was literally walking up to people, telling them like, hey, I have these pre-cut gemstones. Because that was a challenge too, finding gemstones that was pre-cut and ready to be made into jewelry. That was a challenge, a whole battle on its own. So I'm like, hey, I got these gemstones. I'm looking for someone to help me make some custom pieces. So I met this Asian lady and she was like, oh, where did you get these gemstones from? They're beautiful. I've never seen anything like that before. It was this stone right here. Before I had turned it into a pendant, she just seen the stone. As you can see, it's like translucent, right? This is a moss agate. So she was like, what is that? Like, where'd you get it from? Blah, 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 blah. So anywho, I gave this lady all my gemstones because I wanted a quote to see how much it would cost to make them into jewelry. So she like, okay, cool, no problem. She wrote up this receipt. She like, call me on Wednesday. It was probably Monday. Call me on Wednesday and I'll have a quote for you. So we walking out. I look at my mama. I'm like, I don't know. She was looking at my gemstones a little too hard. I hope she ain't try to get over them. So anyway, we leave out of there. And in the hallway, I run into Lamar. Shout out to Lamar. And I was like, hey, are you a jeweler? This was the guy that was standing in front of me in the line. And he was like, yeah, what's up? So I was like, oh, great. I'm actually trying to become a jeweler myself. These are the gemstones that I'm trying to make something with. I had a picture of them on my phone. And I was like, can you point me in the right direction? And he did. So he hooked me up with someone that hooked me up with someone. Then I got hit with the okey doke again. But I just feel like that's just how the nature of the beast. You're gonna deal with some things, you're gonna lose a little money. So boom, fast forward, I leave that day. I'm pretty satisfied. I feel like, at least I made a couple of connections, whatever. But the Asian lady has all my gemstones, right? So that was Monday. Wednesday, I called her like she told me to, no answer. Sick. I sent her a text message, no response. Sicker. And I'm talking about, these are gemstones that I have sourced from like all over the world. Like it meant a lot to me. So I'm like, all right, cool. By Friday, I'm gonna have to pop up on this lady. And that's exactly what I did. Went right on back up. When I walked in, y'all, you would have thought she seen a ghost. She was like, let me, I'll be right with you. I'm like, yeah, just give me my gemstones so I can go. So I noticed though, she had to go upstairs to get my gemstones. So when she gave me back my gemstones, she gave me some crazy obnoxious rate. And I was like, all right, bet. Got my gemstones back. And I'm like, I'm gonna go where she don't know nothing about nothing, but I know enough to know that I need to go where she went. Because you don't have a workshop in this store. Somebody has a workshop in this building that you took my gemstones to. Sure enough, went upstairs. And I actually, let me tell y'all, I'm standing in the hallway and I'm trying to figure out, it's so many stores in this building, y'all. It's so much going on. So I'm standing there and I'm like, I really didn't know where to go or what to do at this point, because upstairs is more so like offices than they are like jewelry showrooms. This man walks out of his workshop and just was like, hey, can I help you with something? And I was like, well, I'm actually looking for someone that can cast some gold for me, because I was trying to make this pendant. I was like, because I want to make this into a pendant. It was just a stone at the time. So he like, all right, come in here. So I walked in it's a literal workshop, and we sat down and I told him what I was trying to do. And when I tell y'all, this man literally laid it all the way out to me as to how I needed to go about becoming a jeweler. And first things first is establishing connections with, you need a CAD designer. That's a person who's gonna make the 3D mock-up of the piece that you're going to cast, the pendant that you're making. So you need a CAD designer. Then from there, you got to get the CAD design printed in wax, and you need a caster. You need someone who's going to cast the gold, whatever carat it's in, that design in gold. Then you need a stone setter. Typically, these aren't the same people, they're different people, but sometimes you can run into people who do everything. Now the manifestation part, I almost forgot. After I got that terrible offer and that man tried to scam me with the 60-40 split, I went home and I wrote in my journal, right here. It's my new moon journal, you guys. Shameless plug. But I wrote in my journal, it says, I will become a jeweler. I easily find myself connecting with the right people to assist my jeweler journey. I have a successful jewelry business. And I wrote that down and I dated it. See, say 23, right? And that was me doing what I could with what I had. And then from there, it was just action. And that's really how you manifest anything. Like, work with what you have, put it on paper, give it to the universe to handle, and then you gotta get in the field. So I don't know, that's kind of long-winded, but I hope you got something from it. At the end of the day, how did I become a jeweler? I literally kicked the door down. I prayed a little bit, I affirmed a little bit, and it just kind of came all together. I'm still making connections, I'm still learning, I'm still growing. But it's just a reminder that if you want something bad enough, you're going to figure it out.